Hello and welcome to Music, Meaning and Mental Health episode 6. And I am so excited for this guest because she's a good friend of mine. She's a BBC journalist, presenter, and all-round good egg. She is Anna Forster. And Anna, I am so excited, I can't tell you. Anna, just very, very quickly, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Right. So, yes, my name is Anna. You made me sound posher, Anna Forster. Anna Foster. Common. I host the afternoon show.
Right, Anna.
What?
We're going to have to start again, right? Sure. We'll start again. I had a real wobble over your name. That wasn't fake, right? I had got myself convinced that I've been calling you Anna Foster for ages and it was Forster.
Yeah.
Have I tagged someone wrong? I mean, I know you're Anna Foster, but something this morning made me think, I've been saying it wrong all this time.
I didn't mind. It's fine.
Outtake.
I like outtakes.
Your bloody name's on the screen anyway. Right, let's try it again.
Anna Forster Smythe.
Jesus.
Right.
I couldn't say you're one of my good friends and then get your name wrong. It's ridiculous. That's weird. I've seen... Right. Out of my head. Something has put me off this morning. Right, here we go. Hello and welcome to Music, Meaning and Mental Health, episode 6. I am so excited about today's guest. She is a BBC journalist and presenter and frankly an all-round good egg. It's Anna Foster. Welcome to Music, Meaning and Mental Health. Anna, please, can you just give us a quick introduction and tell us what you do?
Yes, of course I can, Mark. I am delighted to be with you as well because I'm a big fan. Okay, so I host the afternoon show on BBC Radio Newcastle. Before that, I used to do the breakfast show, and then when the pandemic happened, everything changed. I used to host events. That doesn't really happen so much now, but I'm sure it will happen again at some point. And I've worked in radio. I fell into radio in 1996. So that's kind of a little bit of the background. Yes.
Wow. 1996.
Yes.
Days of yore.
Yeah. Yes. Stray FM, Harrogate's best music mix.
Harrogate?
Yeah.
Is that where you started out?
Yes. Yeah. I fell into it because I'd been to music college for a couple of years, about 3 years. And actually, it was my mental health that got me into trouble there. And I ended up not finishing my music degree. And I ended up coming back home from London and just falling into radio. It never really meant to happen, but it did happen. And I've been really grateful. I've had a lovely career. So, yeah.
Brilliant. So we're going to dot about through your career and your life as we go through this. But I always ask this question to get us started. And it always sounds like it's an easy one on the surface. And then it has a twist to put people on the spot. So let's see how you get on. Do you have a favourite band or artist or singer? And could you describe their music to a new fan in 5 words or less?
Oh, you haven't given me any chance of prepping this.
No, I don't let anyone prep it.
Okay, I have to go with Prince. I am a die-hard, Prince fan. Oh, funky, emotive, quite epic at times. What else would I call it? Moving, makes your feet move. I've used far more than 5 words here.
Brilliant. Well done. That was good.
Your funk on. Just everything.
I didn't know you were a Prince fan.
Oh, everything for me.
There we go.
I mean, I've got quite eclectic music taste, but he just every time. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we're up and running. Can you remember the first CD or tape or vinyl that you bought with your own money, and do you still own it?
I can remember. I do not still own it, and I think that's quite sad. I bought Cyndi Lauper, True Colours. I bought the single, and I bought it from the Dundas Centre, I think it was called, in the Borough. It was like the little shopping centre my friend lived just outside the Borough, and we went shopping in the Borough, and I bought Cyndi Lauper's True Colours.
Have you bought it on another format since?
I've probably got it on my phone, but I haven't bought it. But I haven't bought it on cassette or record. Although I can see all your records in the background. I think I want to start playing records again.
Just to be clear, you cannot see them all. It goes that way.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting, because, and this is a theme of these interviews. What comes out when people start talking about the music that's important to them or has played a role in their life, that you immediately remembered where,
Yes.
and and who you were with, and how you went shopping and stuff like that. These connections are really deep in you, aren't they?
Oh yeah, very, very deep. I can tell you with Prince, which because I went to a very kind of a sort of St Trinian's boarding school, and I remember the dormitory that I was in was called Lonsdale, and I heard Prince for the first time. It was Girls and Boys. It was that particular album, and I remember everything about the time and where. In fact, I even remember where my bed was. And I used to go to sleep at night. I had a Sony Walkman, auto reverse, and I just used to listen.
Auto reverse.
Auto
You were
reverse,
posh.
yeah. And yes, it was yellow, and I used to listen over and over and over again. Yeah, so I remember very much when and where.
I've forgotten the concept of auto reverse.
It's great.
It's auto stop and auto reverse, isn't it?
Yes,
Pecking
yes.
order of autoness.
Oh, yes. So you get to the end of side one, side A, and you didn't have to take the cassette out and flip it over
yeah.
because it would just reverse.
They
Amazing.
were good days. I had forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yeah.
Right, next question.
Yeah.
The concept of a playlist shuffle. Love it or hate it, and why?
Ooh, okay. So do you mean that you can just kind of go from anything to anything?
So if you've got a playlist, do you ever put it on shuffle, or do you go through in an order?
I probably do put it on shuffle because I tend to, I'll end up listening to the same things over and over again because I have such passion for music that I think, oh no, shuffle. Just, yeah, do the shuffle. And I've just started quite a lot because of lockdown. My youngest and I have spent loads of time together, Yasmin, and she's quite a cool kid. And so she's been putting little things together for me. So like, I've never heard of Sharon and the Dap Kings. I think it's the Dap Kings. Like real funky kind of. Anyway, she's introduced me to loads of new stuff. Leon Bridges that I'd never heard of before, and so I let her put things together, and then I'll shuffle those. Yeah. So I like that. I think it's eclectic. I think one has to surprise oneself sometimes.
Okay, so we're going to go back to your childhood a little bit now. Did anyone in your family play any instruments?
Yes. So my mum and dad don't, but my dad's mother, her name was Dan, she played the harp and was extremely good at playing the harp. She played it in concerts, and she played it as a soloist. And in fact, I think she fell off a stage with a harp in Birmingham. There is a family story about Granny Dan falling off.
They're
the stage.
heavy.
Yeah, really heavy. She lived to tell the tale, bless her. But yeah, so she played the harp. But my mum and dad, neither of them play, but they're both very, very passionate about music. And my dad loves his music.
When you were a child and you were around the harp, did you ever try and have a go? Were you ever allowed to have a go?
I think I remember as a little girl kind of like, sort of messing about with the strings. But I did the thing and then thinking that you can play it, but you can't really. So yeah, I did that. But I was never a clever enough musician to actually play the harp. You have to be somewhat
harp's a difficult one.
Oh, really difficult. I tried the guitar. I mean, I've tried loads of instruments. I remember as a kid trying the guitar. And as I say, I went to this strange little boarding school. And when you went for your guitar lessons, you used to have to put trousers on because you used to have to sit with one of your legs on a little box thing. And it used to be, it's very ungainly girls. One has to wear trousers. So you'd have to wear trousers to play this guitar. But I just didn't practice enough. And it's one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't practice enough with instruments. I just sang. And I regret that.
It's not just singing. So, did you ever have any lessons on the instrument on guitar?
Yeah, I had lessons on guitar. I also had lessons on flute. I think I got to about grade 3 flute, and then it just kind of stopped. Piano, I got to grade 6, and then I just stopped. I was terrible at sight reading, absolutely terrible. And I remember playing in a concert once. I just find the idea of playing the piano in front of people utterly terrifying because you have 10 fingers to sort out. And I played in a concert and the fear of God got into me and everything just went, oh, wait, those notes on here, hands, no. And it just all went wrong. And then I started again and it went wrong. And in the end, I just got up and I walked out of the concert room and I went, I'll come back at the end when everybody else has done it and try again. So I think the piano just frightens me. Although I love it, it frightens me.
Can you remember? Do you have any early memories about when you were first sort of first trying to play an instrument and you got the sound out of it yourself? You know, sometimes when people think about the first time they moved a car forward and they're like, "Oh, is that me?" Or the first time you took your stabilizers off. Do you remember those kind of early experiences of, well, this is me creating that sound?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, I remember. I suppose I remember being a very little girl playing the piano and just playing, the chopstick stuff and all that, but just thinking, wow, I can make this noise. And with the flute as well, I do remember feeling that like, oh, my breath is making this noise. And although I'm technically a terrible musician, I like to think that I've got quite a lot of musicality in me. So I could just feel, I was like, oh, I could feel the music just, yeah, coming through you. My piano teacher, God bless her, she's just died, Mrs. Armour. I used to drive her absolutely nuts because I didn't practice. But she used to be all about feel the music in you, feel the music. She was a kind of, a sort of, as you would imagine, a sort of a posh old lady that taught in a girls' boarding school, but she was terribly passionate about feeling the music. And so she always, she used to say balls to your scales, although they're important, it's the feeling of the music. So yeah, I definitely remember making that sound was amazing. Yeah. And it makes you
Fantastic.
feel good and you've
Yeah,
achieved
absolutely.
something.
This is what we're all about in these chats, about how music makes us feel and
Oh
the
yeah.
reactions that we have and how it transports us to different people and places and times. And you've been really quickly sort of reeling off people who've already by that stage in your life had a musical connection to your life. I want to talk about the role music played in your childhood, not just in your family but in your friends. Did you have a circle of friends where you would go to buy music or go and see live events, or perhaps there was some perhaps you played music with other people in I don't know, orchestras, bands, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Talk about the role that music played. Did you share any kind of experience with your friends?
Absolutely. So again, I keep harking back to this slightly odd childhood in that I was at this strange kind of St Trinian's type boarding school in Yorkshire because my mum and dad had got the job. They used to work at a little country school in Cumbria, and then they got the job running this strange school in Helmsley, North Yorkshire. And so I was a teeny tot when I went there. But music was, I credit, Mr. Carter, who was my music teacher, with giving me, as well as mum and dad when I was little, as a tiny tot, putting Tell Me on a Sunday on and ABBA, and I would just dance, dance, dance. If you say to my mum what was, who looked after Anna, she would say the record player, because she used to put it on and I would just but Mr. Carter, the music was fantastic at that school. And I got into the choir, the chapel choir. So there was the senior choir and the chapel choir, and the chapel choir was the creme de la creme, if you like. And I got into chapel choir when I was 11 or 12. And we sang together, we rehearsed together, we went on trips to, bear in mind we're at boarding school. So when you got to get in the big old yellow bus and go on a trip to Ilkley and beat Harrogate Ladies College, because they always thought they were better, but we knew we were. It was a real bonding thing, and I am still friends with those girls now on Facebook, and I chat to Mr. Carter all the time as well. I'm still really good friends with him. It was huge. It was everything. Chapel choir and singing was everything to us. It was cool. Whereas I remember going to my next school and loving music and getting involved, and it didn't seem to be the coolest thing. It was the sports kids that were the cool kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as an adult, how do you? I know obviously in your radio work, you're around music quite a lot in that way. But I'm always interested to know how people use music in their life. Do you use it to relax? Or you use it when you're working and you want to have music on in the background? Do you ever sit down and actively just listen to music and do nothing else? What role does
Yes.
music play in your life now?
Huge part in my life. In fact, it's the soundtrack to my life. So obviously, because of my work, I listen to music every day. I listen to music because of my work. And I like other people laugh at me when they walk through the studios because I'll be dancing, I'll be really getting into the music. I'm not saying that every track I play I love. I mean, top load of Dancing in the Moonlight, I want to scream. And I know some people will love that. I know they'll love it, but I want to scream.
I don't know how many weddings I've played that at.
So I really love listening to the music, and I'm very passionate about the music that we play. So I'll listen to it at work. At home, it gets me through, tidying up at home. I put my headphones in and listen to music all the way around the house whilst I'm tidying up, running, exercising. So this morning I was exercising, and Dana, our fabulous exercise lady, had banging techno, and that was like that makes me move. And then, funnily enough, because of lockdown, we've sat together as a family a lot, and we'll play this game where you have to go round, and it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, and you each play an artist and a song, and everybody actively sits and listens, and then you'll have a little chat about it, and it's really great because I've learned about house music, liquid drum and bass, tech, melodic tech, all of these things which I wouldn't have done, and my kids have learned about Prince and The Cure and Mozart.
I was going to say, do you choose different styles of music for different situations? But you kind of already touched on that with the techno stuff when you're exercising. What about when you're doing the housework? What's the soundtrack of choice then?
Well, I sometimes have to get a hold of myself because I have a propensity to start listening to things in a minor key. Like I just do, and sometimes it can make you feel a little bit woeful. So I have to kind of stop and go, right, no, listen to something upbeat. But I know it's cheesy, but I do listen to Rumours from start to finish a lot because I just really love that album. So I will listen to Rumours a lot. I listen to Prince a lot. I listen to The Cure a lot. Really eclectic. And then sometimes I'll just think, I'm going to listen to Foray's Requiem. And I will literally be doing the dishes, and it's such an incredible piece of music. I'll be, putting my dishes away, and floods. So I have to be careful because I get deeply affected by music, and it can bring me to tears easily.
This is one of the things we're going to move on to. So obviously with it, the discussion always been around music and mental health. Are you conscious of how music makes you feel physically and mentally, and the effect that it has on you? Because not everyone is. I
am 100% conscious of it, 100%. So, for example, I was in the car the other day, and again, I started listening to sort of singer-songwriters in a minor key, but I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is doing something to you. It might be doing the wrong thing to you at the moment, and that's not to say that it's not a great thing to feel like that, and sometimes it's a great way of expelling your emotions, if you like. But I was very aware of that, so instantly I put on some Disclosure, some like sort of banging house music to lift me. So I'm acutely aware of how music makes me feel. Mozart's Ave Verum, I listen and I kind of sing along, and then I literally can't sing because the tears just come. The tears come in. And whenever I've sung in lots of, big choral pieces like Handel's Messiah and Dvorak's things and all sorts of things I've sung in over the years. And I've been lucky enough to sing soprano role in some of those. And I have to really get myself together so that I can sort of almost disconnect myself from feeling too much so that I can technically get it right, because otherwise I would just weep at the beauty of the music. It really does do something to my body. Music does something to me.
Do you, in some of the sort of opera and classical things that you're referring to, obviously it's not always in English, do you find that you still can have that same response if it's not in English?
Yeah 100%. I'm not saying I always know what the words mean. I mean, I've sung heaps of German over the years, heaps of French over the years, heaps of Italian over the years, but I do sort of make it my if I am singing, I will make it my mission to know roughly what I'm what I'm singing about. I'm not saying that I know every word, but I make it my mission to know that I'm singing every word. So yeah. And to be honest, it's less of the words and more of the just the key or the just the sound of the music. You know, the right punchy chord can just make me, you know, go to mush. Yeah.
That's really interesting because, of course, some people it's the music that affects them, and some people it's the words.
Yeah. Oh, for me, yes, words, but with music, I would say it's more the music. I would say it's the tone of the music. I mean, Adele, you know, when she first sang, what was it? Someone Like You, that, you know, the song where it's just her and the piano at the Brits. Yeah, the words are really sad, but I think it was the music that did it, and both together. But I think for me, it's more the music than the words. That's not to say I don't love poetry, and poetry can do that to me. I think I'm just a bit of a feeler.
You've mentioned some of your particular favourite records over the years. One thing I'm really interested to is that we hinted at the beginning when you were talking about going to buy your first record, is how we can connect pieces of music to particular people or places. So just pick out 2 or 3 memories that you have where you can say, I remember this was the first time I heard this, or I remember when I saw that song live, or songs that you can particularly connect to a person or place or a time.
Okay, so this is a funny one, but from Madonna's True Blue, Live to Tell. Do you know the song? If I ran away, I'd never have the strength. So Madonna's Live to Tell. So when I was about 15, my boyfriend 2-timed me on Darlington railway station. Haven't forgiven you. Anyway, I went
Are you still in touch with him?
No, I mean, I think we follow each other on Instagram or something. But
I'd love you to tell him this story. Go on, share it.
Anyway, I went home after the Darlington incident, and I lay on my bed and I listened to Madonna's Live to Tell about, oh God, just over and over and over again, just allowing myself to be devastated in the music. And I cannot listen to that song now without just feeling that, you 2-timed me with Corinne Mitchell. How dare you do that? Anyway, there you go. So that's one.
There's one.
Okay, so that's a very strong memory. Sometimes
do you still remember some of the songs from your wedding?
Yes, very much so. Yes, very much so.
Just in the interest of giving Steve some balance here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, oh yeah, he's the most important man in my life. So, we had on the way out, I'm glad it was Parry, this beautiful big choral piece. And if I hear that, it's the same thing. That'll take me back to walking out of the church, feeling excited, feeling happy. Feeling quite stressed because my 3 kids were there running around like lunatics. But yeah, so that will take me directly back there. Mozart as well. Laudate Dominum. Mozart's Laudate Dominum is famous. You'll have probably played that at weddings before. I had that at my wedding, and that's another one that takes me, whenever I hear that, I'll go back to my wedding. View to a Kill, Duran Duran, if we're speaking about Stephen.
From Mozart to Duran Duran.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very eclectic. So that takes me to the top of the Eiffel Tower, because for my 40th, my husband took me to Paris as a surprise. It was a total surprise. And we went up the Eiffel Tower. And of course, my husband thinks that he's John Taylor. So not that he's ever played in his life, but so he started singing Duran Duran, A View to a Kill at the top of the Eiffel Tower. So that always takes me there as well.
Brilliant.
And kind of, and gig wise, I've got so many. Sometimes it snows in April because I'd always obviously wanted to see Prince my whole life. And I was lucky enough to go to one of those gigs that he did, you know, the 30 gigs in 30 nights. So I went to see that. And when he played that, and my God, that man played every instrument on that stage, you know, it was unbelievable. And I was miles away. Oh God, it was unbelievable. And I was miles away. I was quite high up. But when he played that, I mean, I had to have 2 pints of lager, which does enable your emotions, but I just, the emotion just flowed. It's a beautiful Prince song, and I think not enough people know Sometimes It Snows in April. It's a gorgeous song. So yeah, I remember that very clearly. And he came back on stage, you know, when everybody left. Everybody had left, and there was literally about 50 people left, and he came back on. It was amazing, in the light, and just did about another 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
As a journalist who we know has a history of loving talking to people in the community, you're really active in getting out and talking to people, which is obviously a big part of your job. How often do you see music playing a role in the stories you cover, and when you go out and talk to people, and the topical stories that are coming out, or what's going on in the community? How often do you see music play a part in it? How is music being used by people out there?
Do you know what I would say? Not enough. I would like more music in the community, and you and I have obviously worked together, Mark, because um you know, years ago now, or 7, 8, I can't even remember how many years ago, but I started talking on the radio about singing and how wonderful singing is for you, and how not everybody has got the chance to do it, and not everybody's got the chance to sing in a professional choir. And obviously we started as kind of a radio choir, and we've done it here at the BBC as well. And I'm not just kind of blowing smoke up your backside, but I could never have done it without you. And you're phenomenal at your job, and a phenomenal choir leader, master, amazing. And that was fantastic in the community, and I love that. I'd like to see more of those stories. Definitely, I would like to see more of those stories. So I think probably not as much as I would like to. I'd like to see more of it. I mean, we do. I tell you what, we do get. We get, like, the pandemic has definitely, there've been a couple of songs that people have done, charity songs, and that's really lovely when people are inspired to create music through adversity. We do see that sometimes, but I would like to see more in the community, more music in the community.
I think music's been something that quite a lot of people have turned to during the pandemic, and that
Oh yeah.
certainly like musical hobbies, like, you know, like learning to play the piano and stuff, that the number of people that have been interested in that and getting involved in that has certainly gone up, because, you know, people have often relied on the crutch of I don't have time, and suddenly found they had some time.
Yeah.
So I think music's provided a lot of comfort to a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's funny, you know, because I mean, I on my bios and everything, and I've done a podcast and I've talked about it. I mean, I don't talk about it very often on the radio, but I do have OCD, and I have it quite badly, and I have been very poorly over the years with it. And I had a full breakdown in 2016, but I've had it since I was about 7 years old, and it's not, you know, tidiness or what people think it is. It's really, really not. And I struggled very hard. I ended up in a mental health crisis centre in County Durham. I was very poorly, and for a while I actually couldn't really listen to music, because the things that I loved were listening to music and going for walks, and I couldn't do either of those things because I couldn't sort of be by myself, and the music was too much for me. But when I started to get back into music and back into singing, when I started to get better, I found it was one of the very best things for me and for my mental health, is that I was just there in the music, singing the song, and you know, I was present at that moment instead of thinking about the future, thinking about the past, worrying about what kind of thoughts were in my head. It was the music. So I
it's
think
a recurring theme that people talk about when they talk about how music means that at that moment they're unable to think about anything else. You know, they're not able to worry about their job or worry about their family or whatever it is that's causing them current stress. That it's certainly when they're actively creating the music themselves, be them playing an instrument or singing. So it's nigh on impossible to concentrate on anything else at the time, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I would say, because obviously I've sung by myself lots of times, and you know, I've done things in bigger churches and places, but mostly it's for little old ladies in Crook or wherever I'll do little concerts with my friend Paul, who's a singer. But I would say, although when I'm singing by myself I enjoy that, I prefer it even more if somebody else is singing with me. And when I'm in a choir, there's something again different. It does something again different to your, I don't know whether it's to your happiness levels or what it is, but it does do something different to me when I'm singing with a big bunch of people. You know, if you're singing in a big choir and singing something really powerful, whether it's a pop song or something from a musical, or like Handel's Messiah, there's that wonderful counselor, almighty, I can't remember what the words are, but it's this one section and it just lifts you like nothing else when you're doing it with other people. So I think making music with other people is really lovely.
Yeah, the communal aspect's often a very big part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you. It's been really great to speak to you and hear some of your stories. I've learned a lot about you, and I've known you for years.
You learn about Darlington Railway Station.
I did indeed. One song, one piece that you would suggest to someone who was feeling a bit low and you just wanted to give them a lift, put a smile on their face, give them a boost. We don't want anything sad. What's going to give you a lift? What's the one tune that you're going to go to?
Well, I know what it is. It's Diana Ross. I'm coming out. I love that song. I love that song. That is, I just love that song. That will get me on a dance floor anywhere, anytime. It lifts my spirits. I love the backing track. I love the backing track of it. I love the vocal. I love all of it. I love that song. Yeah.
Good one. Anna Foster, thank you so much for giving
pleasure
and taking part in Music, Meaning and Mental Health. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Mark.